So guys, it really happened. In a previous video, I spoke about the first home loan deposit scheme and its effect on the outer ring first home owner heavy suburbs in creating a new threshold for what those minimum property prices were. Now this has just gone into a whole new level. With the introduction of the first home loan deposit scheme in 2020, we saw a lot of suburbs in the outer ring suddenly go from 560 or 580 to 610, 605, and most cheekily 601, because the maximum threshold for young couples and young singles who'd been qualified for the first home loan deposit scheme was capped at $600,000. What can only be described as the perfect storm of low interest rates, low stock volumes, and high buyer demand. We've seen the market go absolutely ballistic over the last year. The market has hit a whole new level, with Melbourne's medium house price reaching that magical or dreaded $1 million mark for the first time. So in a move to adjust for the new pricing, the government has decided to up the first home loan deposit scheme to give first home buyers a fighting chance. So in this video, I just want to quickly go over and look at the numbers and basically give you a prediction of what I think this means. So first home owners can now buy up to $800,000 in New South Wales and $700,000 in Victoria, in major capital cities as well as regional centres for any established home, or $950,000 in New South Wales and $850,000 for new home construction. For everyone else, you're going to have to look at this table and figure out exactly what your thresholds are. Now, there are no other changes to this scheme since it was introduced in 2020, apart from these increased in price caps. Your maximum salary cap is still the same. You have to show a minimum deposit of 5% in genuine savings, and you still have to live in the property for as long as the property is guaranteed underneath the scheme. Regional areas are the big winners in this whole thing, with regional New South Wales getting an increase of $150,000 to their maximum price cap, and regional Victoria getting $125,000 to their price cap, each representing a 33.3% increase to the previous cap. Although this looks like the government giving first home buyers a helping hand to get their foot into the market, I believe it's actually doing the opposite, pushing prices up further again to a new threshold in all these suburbs that are in high demand from such buyers. So I'm just going to put on my trusty old math glasses and let's go over some of these numbers for what it means for a first home buyer in Victoria. So for a $700,000 purchase, previously a first home buyer would have had to put down $140,000 for their 20% deposit to avoid any LMI. Then they would have had to pay $26,000 for stamp duty, and then call it another $1,500 for legal fees. So in total, they'll have to spend $168,000 for this purchase, which is oh so close to the magical 69 number, but what can you do? Alternatively, they can put down a 5% deposit, which is $35,000, pay almost $30,000 in LMI on top of the roughly $28,000 that they'll need for legals and stamp duty. All of that adds up to about $93,000, which is again so close to the less memeable $96,000. But whatever. Now, with the first home loan deposit scheme, it means that a first home buyer can buy the same property at $700,000 and pay $35,000 for the deposit, as well as the $28,000 for their stamp duty. Rounding up, it's going to cost them roughly $65,000 to purchase a $700,000 home, which is absolutely ridiculous. Almost as ridiculous as these fake glasses. Now, one thing that seems like a bit of an oversight is that the first home loan deposit scheme always ran side by side with the stamp duty exemptions for first home buyers. With the increase of the first home loan deposit scheme up to $700,000, whilst the stamp duty exemption is unchanged, first home buyers buying at the absolute peak of that $700,000 mark are paying almost as much in stamp duty as they are for their deposits. None of this makes any sense to me, and it's either a knee-jerk reaction by the government to try and take the pressure off first home buyers, or it's a very clever and strategic way that government and bank have colluded to try and stimulate the economy through property. This is exactly how America went down in their housing bubble, with low deposits high speculation, and increasingly risky lending meant that some loans were being given out that were higher than the actual value of the property. When property prices dropped and people were struggling to pay their mortgage, homes were being foreclosed and sold at values that weren't even enough to cover the initial loans. Qualified buyers of the first home loan deposit scheme could face a similar issue if they were to buy their house at the peak of the market with a 5% deposit and then for the market to drop 5% or more. Do I think this is a recipe for disaster? Well, it really shouldn't affect the majority of buyers out there, but with new housing at all-time highs, interest rates at all-time lows, there seems to be a lot of lending that's going out to people that may struggle to pay back once interest rates start to increase. So what do you think is going to happen over the next year or so? Leave a comment below as to what you think is going to happen, if we're going to see one of the biggest crashes that's ever happened in Australian property history, or if this train is just going to keep going and we're going to see another 10% growth in 2022. If this video has been helpful for you, it helps this video, the channel, and me out a lot if you smash the like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe for more videos like this. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.